again, as we had stated previously, we're going from left to right. You will have a 1-minute opening statement, and Mr. Scott, you will go first, and if you choose to use the microphone there, we'll just pass that down to you. And there we go, got that. Sorry. There you go.
Hello, I'm Shane Scott. I'm back. It's about the 4th time I've been to this CONA debate. It's very interesting. I've been a citizen in San Marcos ever since I came here to get my degree from the military and the Air Force. I chose not to leave. I raised a family here, been part of the school system, and got into politics because I was concerned about the direction our city was going as far as the cost to family. One of the reasons why I did stay here into this community is because it was a cheaper way of living compared to Austin, and they had a real strong sense of family with the Hispanic community and people who lived in this area. And I thought it was critical. We're losing that now. We're getting that pushed away. So I'm coming back on City Council, hopefully with your vote, to try to regain some of the family values and structures that brought me here to begin with.
Hello everybody, my name is Saul Gonzalez and I'm running for City Council Place 2. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in San Marcos, and my parents were born here as well back in 1924. I have 10 siblings and I'm the youngest out of that clan. As for myself, I have 4 kids, 3 that graduated Texas State, and 1 is currently enrolled in Texas State. I'm employed at Central Texas Medical Center. I've been employed there for about 25 years. Boards and commissions I have served in. I have served in the Drainage Advisory Board, Zoning Boards of Adjustments. Stop.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Zoning Boards of Adjustments and P&Z. I'm currently serving on P&Z now. That's it. Thank you.
Sharon, you get the cowbell on that one.
Hi y'all, my name is Lisa Marie Campoletta. I'm running for the Place 2 spot, and I appreciate everybody being over here. I've been here in this town for 30 years. I've been a very active member, and y'all know that. I'm a member of the press as a video blogger. I've been teaching for 30 years, public speaking. I'm also the Belt Buckle Award winner from the Land Development Code, which means as a citizen, I spent 2 years attending technical meetings, video blogging, sitting down with city staff, filing open records requests, and doing all sorts of participation with the online mixer. I was also an arts commissioner and worked on the subcommittee for the master plan. The other thing I want to say is that I was representative Sector 1 of the Neighborhood Commission, which resulted in 3 ordinances being passed in our community. 2 dealing with the flooding, specifically renters, so that they could be aware that they were living in a flood zone. 1 that required landlords to fix repaired properties that were flooded out, and also a smart meter opt-out program. Y'all know that I have an unparalleled track record in this race as an environmental activist as well as a community representative for neighborhood integrity. I appreciate your consideration, and God bless San Marcos.
Question will be for Mr. Scott, and the random question is number 1. Mr. Scott, what has prepared you, if elected, to hit the ground running the first day in office?
First day in office is mainly because I've had 5 years experience already. I've been on city council, I understand the budgets, I understand how to spend the money and what direction that the push has been going for San Marcos. Right now there's been a kind of a hold or a setback, in my opinion, about the development standards as far as getting people here and keeping them here. Now we're putting regulation upon regulation on people, little by little, causing less people to want to stay here and invest in the community. Our average housing cost here is $225,000. You are not going to be able to afford that if you are lower income in this community. There's no way. You have to hang on to the house that you have here, and you have to restore it somehow and get around these ordinances that prevent you every time. You're slowly getting pushed out, and I'm going to fight for that. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, your question is, how should the city balance the need for growth with the potential damage to existing neighborhoods?
I guess the way we can do that, we're going to have to go back and look at our land development code and making sure that we follow the rules that we have now and put them in place. I think that's probably the best way to do that.
Okay. Ms. Coppoletti, your question is, number 10, how can we ensure that the comprehensive plan is implemented?
Well, the comprehensive plan is something that we all spent many hours talking about. It was the first opportunity for members of our community to sit down in an open medium where we could have all voices heard. Sometimes it was an actual opportunity for some of us to sit down in a civil matter. The way that we can ensure that it continues the Horizon Master Plan by sticking with the plan is how we apply it to the Land Development Code. We must have buffer zones. We must make sure that we keep neighborhood integrity, that we have standards not only to make sure that our neighborhoods are protected, but I would say also give some incentives to those developers. That means permeable pavement or concrete blocks. Make sure that we have all sorts of opportunities for us to have shovel tests to make sure that human remains of Native Americans are protected, our historic and heritage trees. Some of the developments like Capstone Cottage literally cut off the sunlight to those neighbors, and they hear college kids screaming. I think they're appropriate places for our college students that would allow us all to live in harmony here in our community.
Before we start the second round of questions, again, if you do have a question for Place 2 and you from the audience, please line up here. We will entertain 2 questions, and we're going to start on the second round of questions for Place 2. Next number, please. Mr. Scott. Number 6. Should developments be required to provide parking for residents and guests?
That's a very broad question, and there's so many differences of what gets developed and where. There are certain locations that, yes, that would definitely be a requirement. If you're building downtown, you need to have parking spaces for the people inside your building, anywhere that you look at it. And it doesn't need to be a minimum amount like 1.5, as you said earlier. Actually, it should be 1 car for each person there. Downtown parking is just such a mess right now, and the fact that you can't even go down there and buy anything is the reason why I pushed hard to start having a paid downtown where residents get 30-minute free parking, or they get free parking for validated at somewhere they eat. So parking is a very important thing in this community, but it just depends on the location.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gonzalez, your question is number 4. What is it appropriate to deviate from the master plan with mechanisms such as planned development districts, PDD, planning area zoning districts, or alternative compliance?
Well, I still think it's very important to stay with the planned development district. The PDDs are very effective in areas that are real delicate. I think we implemented a couple years back, and it worked really well. I'm sorry, what was the first part of the question, sir?
When is it appropriate to deviate from the master plan with a mechanism such as planned development districts, planning area zoning districts, or alternative compliance?
Once again, if the area is real delicate, a flood zone, or it's in floodplains, that's where you want to implement a PDD to guarantee that what they say they're going to do, they're going to do. Developers have the habit of not doing what they say they're going to do, and the PDD is a way to guarantee that. And that's when I think I would like to use the PDD.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Next one, please. Ms. Copoletta, question is number 7. Should the San Marcos River be turned into a state park?
That would be something that we would want to talk to the citizens about. I would say that what we should leave well left alone and make sure that we have a dais that protects the integrity of our river, that we make sure we don't have developments that are positioned on the river or developments that discharge into the recharge zone. Both of the men to my right have voted on developments, whether it's on the P&Z or the dais, in which members of the public have expressed concerns about how that impacts the river, how it impacts the recharge zone, and most importantly, flooding. With me as a representative, you can guarantee that I will sit and burn the midnight oil and make sure that all the ecological arguments are fleshed out in a viable manner in which the optics of the public have trust, and there's transparency, guided by research as well as scientific research, but as well as narratives and open ear to the residents who, after all, live in our community. Oftentimes we depend upon consultants or outside agencies to tell us what to do. It's time now in our community to listen to the representatives and, most importantly, listen to the public.
Are there any questions from the audience for Place 2? Last call. Seeing no questions from the audience again, we will give you a 1 minute either to have a closing statement or a rebuttal to anything that was said during this debate. Again, Mr. Scott, you are first.
There's a lot to rebut, but I'm not having the time, nor is anybody else in this room. I've done, in my opinion, a really good job making sure that the community is going forward, where you do not have to drive to San Antonio or Austin to get a job. And I'm going to continue to push that. I was actually the vote in changing my mind and getting away from that thinking is what brought Amazon here, Epic Pipe, and many others. It's very important that you can live, work, and play in this community and not have to go somewhere else. Yes, we have problems with parking. Yes, we have problems with students, but all those things are things we have to work together into this community, and we have been. And there's no one-size-fits-all solution, unfortunately. And each scenario, based on the facts and data that's given, is what you have to weigh each time. I've had 5 years' experience involved in this community. I know the players who are involved in it. I know how to work with the developers to make sure we get what we're supposed to get. And I truly believe, obviously, I'm the best choice. That's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to add that I don't accept money from any developer, special interest groups. The only funds I receive was from family members and folks like y'all guys, and I really appreciate that. I wanted to make sure you understand this, that I will not support any apartments in anybody's backyard. I've been through that, I know how that works. I just want to make that perfectly clear. Other concerns I have is the employment here in San Marcos. I have 3 kids that graduated Texas State University. There's no jobs here, guys. There's no affordable homes here. We really got to have to get together and brainstorm and come up with some solutions for that. Once again, I'm Saul Gonzalez, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you very much.
The conservatism and foundation for future generations. I disagree with Mr. Gonzalez. He recently voted for a development that many people were afraid would flood out neighborhoods. My neighborhood, the historic district. So we can look at developments not only in terms of apartment complexes, but also businesses that discharge their waste into Purgatory Creek, which floods. The other thing it's important for us to remember is that the official finalized FEMA flood maps will not be in until summer 2017. The other thing I would like to say is that we need more ADA parking for our disabled veterans. We need to make sure that we attract clean industry. And finally, it's important for us to protect the heritage of our community. That means Native American human remains, heritage trees, and most of all, and most importantly, the investment that we as homeowners have made in our community. My name is Lisa Marie Capoletta. My website, lmc4sanmarcos.com, has a robust upload of videos called Capoletta Chats, in which you can look at the issues that I find important with proactive solutions. Thank you for your time, and God bless San Marcos.
Thank you very much, and we'll go ahead and have you all come up. Mr. Scott, thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ms. Capoletta, thank you.